A Dog's Life is a novel about a stray dog named Squirrel and her numerous experiences throughout her life as a dog without a home. The novel begins with Squirrel and her brother, Bone, living in a shed with their mother. Ever since her birth, Squirrel has been taught to be quiet and cautious, never allowing herself to be caught by the humans she lived around. After her mother's disappearance, Squirrel and Bone are picked up on the side of the road, brought to a home for a night, and promptly thrown out of a moving car window that separates the siblings forever. Throughout the rest of Squirrel's life, she faces extraordinary challenges, multiple new names, friends, enemies, and a constant struggle to survive. Squirrel quietly and gracefully faces challenges that threaten to kill her every day. This novel is a useful tool for addressing the Common Core state standards in reading for several reasons. One of the biggest standards that jumps out with the cohesiveness to a dog's life is Standard 6, assess how point of view or purpose shapes the content and style of a text. Since the narrator of this novel is a dog, we have a very unique perspective of life from a narrator that has little power in her world but to observe the happenings around her and go with the flow. Squirrel's voice can only be heard by the reader, not the people within the book, and as a non-human protagonist, the activities and way of looking at the world is much different than from a human protagonist. There are many ways a teacher could address Standard 6 in this way. Another good standard would be Standard 9. Analyze how two or more texts address similar themes or topics in order to build knowledge or to compare the approaches the authors take. A Dog's Life offers a unique approach to this standard since the perspective is that of a dog. Using other books such as Shiloh by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor in conjunction with this novel would provide interesting comparisons and conversations. This text may contribute to a reader's development in several different ways. Since this novel is set from the perspective of a dog, this novel may appeal more to people that enjoy animals, and particularly dogs. It may provoke interest in students to generally want to read the novel and figure out what happens to Squirrel. It also has to deal with a narrator that is voiceless in the real world, something that many of our students may also be acquainted with. It may provide an interesting story for readers to see, and in a perspective that is just detached enough from their stories for it to feel comfortable. The language is crisp and concise, providing opportunities to practice fluent and fluid reading and helping our students feel more confident about their work. The format or genre of this novel could be a support or a challenge for a student. It can be a support for students that truly love animals and dogs and are interested in the happenings of the book. This interest will help students to stick with the book if they are having difficulty with their reading otherwise. Its format and genre could also be a support because the language is accessible and enjoyable for younger adults to read. The format or genre could also be a demand of a reader, however, for the same way it could be a support. Since this novel is written in the perspective of a dog, a reader with no interest in dogs or even a fear or dislike of dogs may be equally unmotivated to read this novel as a student who likes dogs is motivated to read it. A student that dislikes fiction novels may also be challenged by this novel because it would not be motivating to read it. Another demand of this novel could be in the inclusion of abstract, technical, or complex new information. For readers that know very little about companion animals in general, many of the struggles Squirrel faces may not be understandable to that reader. It would be a brand new concept that a reader would need more background information on in order to fully understand the text.